you are. You just popped up.
Well, I've been sitting here for a little bit, so that's why I wrote you a comment that I'm here.
I I was watching it. You just now popped up. It's so weird.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
Um, yeah, I don't. Sorry,
It's
I'm
no, it's
being
fine.
baffled right now.
You're like, do you want to go? I'm like, yeah, I want to come. I'm here. I'm in. Yeah, waiting.
Okay. Well, okay. Do you need to do a presentation now that I'm all flustered? Do you
Do
want
I
to
need?
do you want to do a presentation? Like, do you have slides or something that you want to show, or are we just good to have a conversation?
I thought we were having a conversation. So, I mean, if you need me to, I can pull something up from the past, but I was just planning to do a conversation.
Okay. I just want it to be how you want it to be.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. No, more, let's chat. It's fun. I think more
Mhm.
people enjoy that. But
Yeah.
then again, you know your audience. If they want an actual training, I can do a training on I've got slides for how to create how to send friend requests that actually get accepted. I've got time mastery. I've got ridiculously simple way to make sales. I've got lots of other presentations, but it's up to you. 8 steps to a sale that are
I think
required.
we should just talk about and tease people with all these things that you provide and get them to like come see you.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good to me. I'm just making sure. There we are. We're equal across.
Okay. All right. I'll try not to move. Let's get us started so we have a minute to um, make sure everything's working over there. And then I'll introduce you and we'll just chat
Sounds
about
good.
all the great things you provide for people.
And what you provide too. I just said girlfriend chat that other people can listen in on. I love it.
Yeah, me too. I got something special to share with you.
Yay!
So. Okay, here we go. Hi, everybody, and it's Monday. We're just checking to make sure that we're actually live, and we have got a special guest with us today. One more reload, and we should be showing up. There we are, showing up for sure. Let me chat at everyone. So we make sure everyone knows we're going live. Going live. Come join us. Okay. Got all that taken care of.
Okay.
So welcome to the spotlight, Stacey. It's so great to have you here.
Jill, I appreciate you. It's always wherever you are, the light is shining. You are one of the lighthouses in my life, and I know other people feel the same way.
Aww. Well, I'm really happy that we're going to have this chance to chat about selling from your comfort zone. I love that title, and I was so excited when I saw your post about finding your own book in the airport little store kiosk. That had to be exciting.
Always exciting to see my book on the bookshelves. Yes.
It's like I've arrived. Okay, so the thing I wanted to share with you is, do you recognize what this is?
Well, yes, I do. Very much so. I see you rising and vibing.
I'm rising and vibing, but I'm caffeine free.
You got the decaf version.
Yeah. It's
frequency charged nutrition without caffeine.
Yeah, and it's been a very big part of my sobriety journey. So I'm super excited about it.
Huge.
It's really huge. It tastes the same without the The
Well, it's
amperage.
exactly the same. I'm shouting this out just so you know. I'm shouting this out really hard. Oh, just shared. She is rising and vibing without caffeine. I love it.
Same grape flavor, no caffeine. Okay,
Sounds
so
like a commercial. For
yeah,
those of you who don't know, frequency charging makes all the difference. You know, people are like, "Oh yeah, I take mushrooms, I do this, I take those minerals." Uh-huh. You add frequency that optimizes the organs. No, she's actually, it is your show. There you go. It's
yeah, there
it.
you
Yeah,
go.
check
That's
with
what it
Jill.
is.
Yeah, Jill asked me about it. I told her, now you ask Jill about it and you can have the same experience. But I love what you said, that it's been a key factor in your sobriety path. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, it really touches my heart so much because we don't talk about that a lot.
It's getting to be more of a thing that people are choosing to embrace sobriety rather than the muddled effects that you feel when you're consuming alcohol, even if it's just like a couple glasses of wine a week. It makes a huge difference. And then to have this product to add in to make you just it just clarifies your brain and it gives you a little bit of energy, but it just I don't know. For me personally, it just fits in my lifestyle and it's really been helpful. So
Well, and so now in my world, just since we're talking about it,
mhm.
I'm not sober curious. I'm sober and have been for many, many years because there was alcoholism
Mhm.
and in my genes, let's just put it that way. And I decided very early on not to mess with the bear, so to speak. And what's so you can imagine being in high school and college, and I was in a sorority, right?
Mhm.
Dating frat guys and all of that. And I used to be the designated driver. That was how people accepted me for that. But oh my goodness, the things that I have watched, the things I have seen because I stayed sober. So, no judgment over here. I'm just saying it's very nice to not be the only one anymore.
Yeah. And it's nice on this side, but I'm not like, I also quit smoking many, many years ago,
Yeah.
and it bothered me to be around people that were smoking because the cigarette smoke would bother me. But I've never been one of those people that are just like, "Oh, you should quit because I quit." Everybody's got to do what's right for them, but it just for me personally, I'm enjoying I'm enjoying this part of my journey, and if you're embrace a glass of wine or 47 of them. It's your life, your journey, your story.
Yeah. Well, and now with all the mocktails, and I started a
Yeah.
chat to exchange mocktail recipes. That's with an M, not with a C. That allows you to have the boost. I mean, you can drink them without a boost, but why not? If you can add bitters, if you can add essential oils, why not add frequency to a mocktail? And what happens is we get that wonderful boost of energy. The brain comes alive. We have just as much fun, but we can remember the fun after the fact. And we don't usually have to apologize for any of the fun.
And the anxiety factor and the sleep factor.
Yes, and the sleep
Just
factor.
two really big things. So I really did have you want to talk to you about selling from your comfort zone.
Yes. Oh, you mean this?
Yes, I mean that.
Oh, okay. What do you want to know about it? Truly, I am an open book when it comes to selling from your comfort zone.
I think it's so different from the normal thing that you hear out there about get out of your comfort zone. That's where all the sales happen and that's where all the growth happens and your approach is different from that. So share with us how your approach is different.
Okay, so the first is I'm not saying that we continue to play small in any way, shape, or form. But what I am saying is, well, let me say it this way to anybody who's out there, and whoever's watching us, if you don't agree, fine, please say so, add a comment, let's talk about it. But when I had this brain boom to be able to write the book, and it was a brain boom, it was also a spirit boom. I went out into a very large women's entrepreneur group and I posted, do you believe you have to get out of your comfort zone to be successful? And I had probably the most number of comments, engagement, whatever. And except for I think one person, 100% said yes. And even some people, I'm kidding. Only time I've ever been cursed at for asking a question, but they were like, so, like, don't even think that you can do it any other way. So I went, that's interesting. The next day I asked another question. I said, would you ever want to be out of alignment with your values in order to be successful? And I had almost as many comments and engagement, no cursing, telling me no, they would never want to be out of alignment with their values. And that's where the book got birthed. Was interesting because as I started to study, Jill, what happens to the brain when we attempt, there's been a lot of studies done, when we attempt to get out of our comfort zone, what comes up always is fight, fright, or flight. Always. This is what all the many different, from psychology, from sales, from marketing, from you name it. Okay. There's been tons of studies done on this. And they all say the same thing. It produces fear. And that fear is so strong for the majority of people that that's why they leave the sales world or being a business owner, or they freeze and they don't take any action at all. That's what happens. So how can it be a good thing for us to get out of our comfort zone? It can't be. It's not if it's going to produce that. Mm-hmm. You come back to being in alignment. Studies about being in alignment with your values produces belief, which leads to consistency of action. And consistency of action allows expansion of what we love to do. So if comfort zone means lazy, right? But alignment with our values allows consistent action. Clearly, we're not being lazy anymore. We're in action and we're expanding and we're growing, and we'll eventually get to that place that in the past would have been outside of our comfort zone. But we did it in a way that felt good, that kept us feeling courageous, felt confident, able to do it, and it just keeps growing and growing. And to me, that is how we grow organically. Look in nature. And I always look to nature for how are we supposed to be? And that's how plants grow, right? So there you go. That was a long-winded answer, and I hope it covered all aspects of what I mean by comfort zone.
It did. And I'm going to circle it back to the whole sobriety thing, in that I embraced sobriety. I didn't quit drinking alcohol. It was a choice. I moved towards something. So it takes, I think that's what you're getting at with selling from your comfort zone. You need to be moving towards something positive rather than freaking out about having to move away from where you feel good. There's a difference between being lazy and comfortable and growing in a sustainable way in comfort.
That's exactly it. Right there. It's comfortable does not automatically mean lazy at all. Comfortable is really meant to convey confidence,
Mm-hmm.
right? Security, a place from which to do our best.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that, well, I have a lot of beliefs around this, so I'm going to share two that are my most controversial.
Okay.
I don't believe that trainers who teach this set out to deceive people at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think what happened was people asked them, how did you get to be so successful? Their approach was their approach. Their approach was in alignment with who they are. Okay. So it was not outside their comfort zone. They didn't have to expand their comfort zone, they just expanded from what was comfortable for them. Teaching someone else who didn't have their experience, who didn't have their resources, who doesn't have their personality temperament, that's where this phrase comes. Well, if you want to do what I did, I guess you'll have to get out of your comfort zone, meaning stop being you. That's where the damage takes place. It's teaching somebody to do something they're not designed to do. I'm going to take this down to my husband and I were talking about runners. There are people you can see and you look at their body when they're running, you go, they were designed to run fast. And then there are people who run and it looks like it's taking a tremendous, like they're not really running, they're kind of jogging. And it looks like it's taking a tremendous amount of energy for them to do that. You're nodding, right?
Yeah.
So and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be running. I'm just saying they're probably never going to get to the point, no matter how much practice, where their body just naturally becomes a runner's body. Could be wrong, but probably not. So if we are diligent at learning someone else's technique, it won't look as elegant, as graceful when we do it. And if you stick to it long enough and you're willing to put in that effort, you might be able to be somewhat successful with their approach. But the amount of energy and attention to become them is far more than looking at who we are. And this is the 4 elements of alignment, which the first starts with aligning with ourself and our values. It takes far less effort to do what we were designed to do. So does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And it's really about all of us are gifted in a unique way. We may be similar, we may have the same course background, but no one approaches anything in exactly the same manner. No
Yes.
two people have the exact same experience. So in selling from your comfort zone, you're looking inside at who you are. What do you bring to the party? And how can you best help other people by shining your light? Your motto is about being a lighthouse.
Yes.
Well, it's because we all have a light to shine that that shows people different aspects and helps them appreciate those aspects within themselves without telling them they have to be a certain way in order to get this result. You can
That's
and
exactly right.
who's to say whatever result you're looking for is the right result?
Yeah. Well, it's the one that's in alignment. So if we were to take
Mhm.
right, wrong, good, bad, success, failure out of the equation,
Mhm.
we all know when we feel in the flow, when we feel in alignment, when we feel something feels good and we're
Mhm.
able to take action, or even if we're not exactly sure what the next action is, we would know who to go to or the question to ask to get there.
Mhm.
That's alignment. Misalignment is feeling completely, utterly lost and looking for somebody to hold on to their coattails. right? And I'm sure everybody listening knows the difference in that feeling within our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you talk about the lighthouse. Every lighthouse is different. It all has the same function. Some are squat, some are tall, some are wide, some are little, some have houses, some don't. Some are right on cliffs, some are in grassy knolls. It's very interesting. Not one of them has the same shape. Two, not one of them has the same markings. None of them are painted the same. And even more so, the pulse of the light that goes out from the lens, completely different from one lighthouse to another. I'm sure there probably is somewhere in the world, I haven't found it, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a twin lighthouse somewhere, maybe one, but I bet you they're not on the exact same spot. So that's what makes it so funny, is like, get out of your comfort zone and do it like someone else. If we're going to be the lighthouse helping people who need help at a particular spot, and we'll talk about what spot means in a minute in selling and marketing,
Mm-hmm.
well, then we've got to be in our spot. So to be in our spot requires us to take inventory of what experiences have we had. The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. What have we survived, if you will? What lessons have we learned? What do we stand on? What do we stand for in terms of mission and purpose? All of that is self-alignment. And most people who go into business miss that step completely. So before I go into the other three, Jill, I wanted to give you a chance to say a word.
I was just going to say, Dee May brought up this great point. She goes, and none of them are competing. They don't care what the other lighthouses look like. They just have a job and they do their job.
That's it right there. So that's the first step, is when we take that inventory. Now folks are going to go, okay, so now I've done it. What's next? Well, what's next is, if you want to be a business owner, that whole amount of value, that's the value. When people say, well, how do I offer value? You are value. Do you know what your value consists of? You wouldn't unless you do your self-alignment assessment. Okay, so now you've got this ball of alignment. Now we want to match that in a way that provides a product or a service to someone else who hasn't made it through to the other side like we have. Okay, sometimes that is creating our own product or service. Sometimes that is, oh, someone else has already created what I would if I was starting from scratch. Let me just go and represent them. So being in alignment with what you're selling based upon who you are, not just because someone else has made money at it, not just because someone else says, you know what you should do. Like, my father was in sales almost all my life because people said to him, you're really good with people, you should go into selling. And oh my God, for 40 something years, that man tried his hardest. I don't even remember, but he's gone now. And I'm going to do my best to remember to ask my mom, what made him decide to start substitute teaching? Because the minute he started substitute teaching towards the end of his life, my father came alive. He was so happy. But he didn't ever explore being a teacher because everybody kept telling him he was so good with people, he should be in sales. So he did what they told him to do. Anyways, I digress. So now we've got that alignment with, are we selling something we believe in, that we have our own personal stories about? You know, we hear this all the time. Do you tell your story? Tell your story. Well, you can't make a story up and create trust. You can make a story up. Once somebody finds out that's a story that you made up, there goes trust. And when trust is out the window, good luck getting anybody's money, because that ain't going to happen. Maybe once, not twice. Then, once we know what we're going to sell, then we look at the audience. What audience would want this product or service as quickly as possible? Not looking for people, not being a searchlight. Searchlight goes, well, let me go share it with everybody and somebody's going to want it. No, we're not doing that. Standing here, and now I'm going to put my light out to the folks who are likely to need this product or service. And I know what to tell them because I'm in alignment with myself. So there comes the content. You just start asking questions that people are likely to say yes to, like, are you frustrated that you've been dealing with a chronic illness and nobody can give you answers? Or are you noticing that your skin's not looking as great as it used to and you don't know what to do about it? It could be anything. Are you finding that you can no longer eat foods that you used to be able to enjoy without your tummy getting upset now? You start asking the questions that you know your audience is likely to say yes to. And once they say yes, you have the opportunity to give them the solution. And those are the 4 steps of alignment.
It is very simple. But if you don't know what they are, you're lost. And having somebody guide you along the way, which I know you do in your coaching program, Selling from Your Comfort Zone, which also brings in a whole bunch of other experts who are sharing their spotlight in their area of expertise. So you're not trying to be everything to everybody, but you have the ability to let your light shine on people who have expertise in different areas. And I think that's what you bring to your coaching program. We met through one of your coaching programs.
Yes, we did. And in the interest of full disclosure, I'm not going to make her say it. I'm going to say it that once we met, Jill's expertise in the area of podcasting, clearly Jill could have taught any of the programs that other experts in my course teach. But I wanted Jill to go into the depths around podcasting, being a guest, being a host, because she's got all that value. So selling from your comfort zone, you would say, is at the core. I help people get back into an alignment with whatever they want to sell. Now, if you want to work with Jill and I and sell something that's in alignment with you that helps people feel good every day, get with Jill, because we're actually also building a business together using these principles, her principles, my principles. And selling from your comfort zone gives you the core. And then my selling from your comfort zone masterclass is, okay, so let's say you want to take the core and go into podcasting. Okay. Let's say you want to take the core and you want to host summits. Okay. And it goes from there. And I have been blessed that experts like Jill have each chosen to share a very unique program inside my course, meaning you can't get their program any other way, not even by going to them directly, unless you come to my course to get this particular training that they're providing. So Jill, thank you very much for all of that.
And I've been to some of your other collaborators, I guess you'd call them.
Yeah, the masters of selling. We call you all the masters of selling. Yes.
I've been to some of your other masters presentations, and they are life-changing, really. I mean, I've gotten so much value out of it. I can't even begin to express it.
Hands down, that's not me. That's them choosing to offer this to my folks, the
Okay.
folks who want to learn how to sell from their comfort zone, because I don't have the corner. It seems like very few people are talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
When you read not if, because of course it's on Audible too. If you don't want to read the book, you can listen to the book. And I did not, in case they're like, I don't know if I can listen to Stacey's voice. We have a very professional person who read the book and narrated it. I love her voice. That said, inside the pages, you will be introduced also to more masters of selling who have been building their business this way before I ever met them. I've been watching folks who have been going against the tide, and I wanted to bring them as well out from the shadows with everyone, because for the longest time people just kept their mouths shut because they didn't want to get cursed at from this concept of you don't need to get out of your comfort zone.
You don't need to get out of your comfort zone.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Just get back in it and expand from there, and quit wasting precious energy trying to be somebody else.
And be good with the idea that anything of value takes time to create. Give yourself some grace to get better at things. Do it. Take action. Don't just sit there and study. But recognize that everybody starts at the beginning. Practice.
Yeah.
Get better.
And I'm going to say, adding on to that, there's nothing to get. I don't believe we personally have to get better. We are fine. It's
the
important
skills.
to take
It's
that
just the
assessment
skills.
on the selling skills. Yes. Or let's say the marketing skills. Because I will also say, I believe anybody who has a mission or a purpose to help other people, they already have everything they require to sell.
Mhm.
Because selling is really just sharing your story. And when they say yes, you receive the money, and then you give them whatever it is they're buying. That's selling. It's the hardest part for most people, and they collapse the two. So selling is the conversation.
Mhm.
Once they already are pretty well interested that they're going to buy. It's the marketing part. It's the what communication channel am I going to use, or channels? What social media platform, or am I going to be doing my business? And more and more people are actually turning to what we did before, like in the olden days where you actually got in front of people at business networking events. More and more people are going back to face-to-face conversations without the technology in between, right? So that making those choices is very, very important. And that does take time to evaluate. We play, we explore, we discover. That can take time. Finding our voice when we're doing our marketing, whether it's standing up in front of somebody at a networking event, or it's putting a post out, or a Facebook story, or Instagram story, or a Pinterest pin. That can take time to play, explore, discover what is my audience responding to. So when you talk about getting better, I would say making the discoveries, experimenting and making the discoveries. And if we're working on trying to fix ourselves, there's nothing to fix. We're already great.
Yeah,
just identify how you're great.
And what you're here to share.
Yes, and what you're here to share. That's excellent. Yes.
Movement before perfection, Lucy says. I really appreciate Lucy and Dee for you joining us today.
Yeah, the comments aren't coming through StreamYard, so I'm not quite sure. What was that comment?
Lucy said, movement before perfection.
Always. Always, yes. Lucy, I love that.
And Dee says, believe you're great, because we are. We are all perfect.
Yeah. It's we may not know how to do something. I use again the analogy of nature. It's not on or off, good or bad. I know how, I don't know how. That if we live in that paradigm, we're always going to get stuck between those two. And there's really no possibility in there. If we live in nature, I'm seeding, I'm putting seeds into the ground, right? I don't know whether these seeds are going to produce or not. Right? So you have seeds for a tomato plant, right? They grow from seeds, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
You put them in the ground, you cover them up. How would you know? Unless you keep watering and nurturing and pray that you didn't get duds, right? That eventually something's going to pop up out of the soil. Well, when it does, those are sprouts. Well, a sprout, when it comes to sales, may be somebody who's engaged with a post finally.
Mm-hmm.
Or even you get them on a call, but they didn't say yes. That's a sprout. At least you got the sprouts. And most people, if they're growing tomatoes because they want to grow tomatoes, when the sprout starts coming, they'll go, oh, darn, it's only a sprout. Oh, well, I'm trashing this plant. I'll go do something else. They wouldn't do that. They go, oh my God, there's a sprout. Yay, I'm going to water and
I
nurture it
got
some
corn.
more. Right? That's what they would do. And then you keep loving on that plant. And what starts happening? You start to see the fruit because tomatoes are fruit, from what I understand. You start to see the tomatoes take shape. And maybe the first year, they're kind of sour. Maybe they're green. Maybe they, not so, because I think most tomatoes actually are green. I think they spray them to get them red. Although
Actually, they turn red if you leave them on the vine long enough.
long enough. Yes, it's the spraying to get them there for the grocery stores. Yes, but if you are patient and you keep loving on those sprouts, you will have a full harvest. And then it may stop for a while until you're ready to plant some seeds or re-nurture or refeed what's there. So that is what I love to teach my clients is it's not whether you're good or bad at what you're doing. It's what stage are you in right now?
I am a gardener, and my philosophy is that you never reap in the same season you sow.
That's
You
right.
always need to be sowing. Sometimes things will come up volunteer, so you get free stuff they didn't even plant.
Yeah.
You always need to be on the lookout because you never know where stuff is going to pop up. Like I have lettuce that grows in my grass.
Yeah.
It's a patch and it blew out of my garden. And every year it comes back, and my husband is not allowed to mow in that area. I put my little
Yes.
stakes out. There's lettuce in here, and I'm harvesting it, so don't be chopping it off. But
Exactly.
you're constantly sowing, no matter what you're doing in life. You're constantly sowing, and you will get results from the things that you're sowing, but it will be a little bit down the line. And then you'll be sowing other things and you'll be getting different experiences further down the line. Doesn't happen. Most things don't happen immediately. Like, don't throw your seed in the ground and expect that in the next 25 minutes, I'm going to have tomatoes. It just doesn't happen.
And I'm just going to say, you're absolutely right. And there will be people who will say, well, wait a second. So-and-so, like in network marketing came on and in 15 days, they're already at the top. Uh-huh. So just curious, were they in another company before they came over here? Are they connected to a large group of people that had a need for it's not like they were sitting home not talking to anybody beforehand and all of a sudden they go out and everybody, I mean, truly, I have yet to have anybody prove to me that somebody went from no activity to leader in less than a month.
It just
I'm
doesn't
open.
happen.
I'd love to. I will pick their brain till the cows come home, because I'm not saying, maybe something miraculous occurred. But I am saying, don't come to me unless you know the whole story. If you're going to say to me, but somebody over here was successful almost overnight. Mm-mm.
Usually you're seeing the tip of the iceberg. There's this huge chunk of knowledge and experience and education that they've gotten over the years, and it's usually years, to get them to suddenly they're really big and popular. It's like,
Yes, they've been building, I hear this from people in the company that we represent all the time, that they for 7 years they've been doing stories every day and promoting. Their audience was watching but it wasn't really interested. Well, this person made a decision to leave that company to come to another because it was more in alignment with them.
mm-hmm.
So what they're putting out now to the same audience is sounding more authentic. And now their audience is going, you know what? I love this person. I didn't know what it was before that just wasn't clicking, but now this clicks. Everything's and so they are going straight up. And I see it. That makes complete sense to me.
Absolutely. And it really, once you get in alignment with who you are and what you're here to deliver, it does look easy from the outside.
It does.
People look at you and go, oh, God, you make it look so easy. Well, it's because I'm in the flow. And in the flow, everything does seem easy. But you have to get to the banks and step in the water before you're going to be in the flow. You're just not.
Love that. I love that. That's fantastic. That metaphor I've not heard before, but yes, do the do. Do the do. These were people who did not give up. They kept talking and talking, and they were offering value.
Mm-hmm.
For a number of years, people were just like, okay, I'll take your value, but I'm not really interested in your product. All of a sudden, their value and their product lines up, and they're like, okay, you've built up trust with me. I hate the word try, but that's what they're saying. All right,
Mm-hmm.
I'll try it. I believe you. You made a shift. I'm ready to follow along with you. This I'm willing to try.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen overnight. And that's what we're saying. These folks were expanding. Now, some people will say, well, they don't have 7 years to build. Well, you know what? Rose bushes, for the most part, get grafted. Like if you go to the nursery, they're grafted on to an already growing stalk. So just because when you were talking about lettuce in your grass, I was thinking about the roses. Like we planted roses,
mm-hmm.
and we get roses, but we also get this other type of rose that if you can't cut it because it would die immediately, and it's flourishing, like it flourishes, but it was full of nutrients that fed the roses. And until I'm sure you're a gardener. I wasn't really a gardener. I didn't know that occurred, but that's exactly. So if you say to yourself, anyone out there listening, that you don't have 7 years to build your audience, then you know what I would do is I would make sure that I'm going to use the word graft myself onto somebody who's already successful, get there with them, get their program, and if they're selling something, start selling what they're selling, because they've already got the proven track record, and they can tell you, the audience, and they'll make sure that you're not attempting to sell to an audience that wouldn't believe you. Like there are lots and lots of ways to speed up the process. Let's put it
Mm-hmm.
that way. Does my masterclass do that? Of course it does. If you're just interested in podcasting, well, not just, but I'm saying her forte is the podcasting, and then all the rest comes along with it. Don't start from scratch without having someone in your corner with a proven track record.
That really goes back to my message of this morning.
Yeah.
Hire a mentor. Mentors are the shortcut for everything. They have the data, they can tell you what works and what doesn't work when it comes to skills. We're not talking about changing who you are, we're talking about the skills that you're bringing to the party. And if you've got somebody that's got data that can back up what they're saying or showing you how to do, then you're like light years ahead of having to go and do trial and error yourself, because it's expensive, time consuming, and look at Edison, all the light bulbs. Had he had a mentor, perhaps he would have had to try so many different failures.
Maybe, although he had the time, he had the mission, he wasn't interested in doing it faster. He learned from every single one. The reason I say that is because I use the example of Chicken Soup for the Soul and Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield, who I know personally and have heard the story many times. Prior to them coming out with Chicken Soup for the Soul, self-publishing was only for people whose books were not good. Like, that was the way it was. If you self-published, it meant that you cared that much to spend your own money to turn it into a book, but good luck getting it into a bookstore. And really, most people would not have purchased it because they figured it couldn't be any good if no publisher wanted it. Okay. So Chicken Soup for the Soul, Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen have this idea to pull together these stories. It's a passion project for them. They have plenty of money already by that time. They're both very successful coaches. Their programs sold out when they did things individually and collectively. That's why I'm bringing it up, because they were mentors. Okay. They did not actually want to self-publish. They went to traditional publishers. They already had books published. They just assumed, to start with, that their publishers would want this book. And their publishers were like, what are we going to do with this book? No, thank you. Pass. Give me your next one. Not this. More than 400 publishers passed on it. And I always say, if I had gotten 25 rejections, would I have kept on going? Back then, when self-publishing was not a thing, right? 50, 100, 200 no's. Would I have kept on going? I don't think I would have. I'm going to be honest. They just kept on. Now, was it the only thing they were working on? No. Did they have time and money to, allow them this? Yes. They get past 400. Like, that's when they start thinking, yeah, we still want this book out, so we'll sell it ourselves. So that was when they started looking at small presses, small publishers, textbook publishers. Well, who they found was a publisher who only published medical journals. Yeah, that was it. And they went to them and said, okay, do you have space on your presses to print this book? And they bought time on the press, which meant they owned the rights to the book and they owned all the royalties. Yeah.
Wow. And that book was big too.
Huge. Millions to start with. The first book that was just them compiling the stories sold millions. Okay. Smartest thing that health company and publisher ever did, because they had to keep going back on the presses and back on. So they were making their money by Mark and Jack buying time on the press. Can you think of more than 400 publishers kicking their butts that they passed on that? Now, They had an audience built in. They would sell it at the back of the room of their presentations because this was also before social media.
Mhm.
They did a lot of PR to get the word out, but they
You
also
have to
put
do that
a
even if
lot
you're
of money in their pocket.
you have to do that even if you're going to a publishing company.
That's right.
I was having a conversation with a publisher the other day, and it's we live in a time where you can do just about anything. You can self-publish and you can go to KDP and put a book up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and you're not having to go out of pocket on really anything. But you still have to do all of the promotional stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there's different reasons for having books. It doesn't necessarily have to be to become a bestseller. You could have a book that you're just taking to the back of your presentations and selling it there if you do live presentations, or you could use it as part of your sales funnel. There's just like so many different ways that you can use having a book published. That doesn't mean you're being part of the bestseller list. To get on the bestseller list takes a concerted marketing effort.
Yes,
And
it does.
again, we're getting back to marketing. Marketing is
Yep.
just another word for advertising.
Advertising is a portion of marketing. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Podcasts is a portion of marketing, getting the
Mm-hmm.
message out. I will say three of my books were traditionally published, meaning from an actual publisher. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
buy time. And two of my books are compilations for the network marketing industry, and I did self-publish those. And all
Mm-hmm.
five of them went to #1 because I did the exact same thing that I talk about in here. Use this process, whether they were published by a publisher or not. And in this day and age, my first book, which went to #1 and before social media and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
because of using this kind of process. Back then, you just had to have a really good idea and prove there was an audience out there that would go to a bookstore and go buy it. Today, publishers are like, go self-publish, show me you can sell it, and then come back and we'll decide if we want to take it on. Okay. So did I self-publish this to start with? No, because I already had a track record with this publisher from my first book in the days before that.
Mm-hmm.
If I hadn't, I would have had to do this exact same thing. Go self-publish it, go teach classes, go prove that people will buy it from you, and then we'll publish it for you. And then at that point, people are like, so what do I need a traditional publisher for? Exactly. Now it's just ego at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they have the ability to get it into actual bookstores. But the amount of books sold through bookstores, teeny,
Yeah.
teeny, tiny.
They're disappearing all the time because people are using Kindle and Amazon. Amazon is really a huge deal.
Yeah.
In the book. They started out to be a book selling company.
Yeah.
Yes, they sell a lot of other things now, but he started out selling books out of his garage.
Yep. Yep. And it made sense. It completely, I keep expecting there will be some sort of book selling chain that will come along because people do still love the experience.
Mm-hmm.
But the books will have to be able to be purchased at a place like that at a fee that would match an Amazon fee, right? They'd have to, that's, hats off to Barnes and Noble for hanging in there. But it's completely changed. So anyway, so we've kind of gone off on a tangent here about books. My point is marketing. So coming back to Jack and Mark, they had all the experience in marketing and selling. They had the audience. And they ventured into something new. And it required them to do a lot of research, a lot of discovery. But they had they had the wherewithal, they had the time, the money, and the energy to do that kind of discovery. And now nobody else has to, because they were the ones who broke open the self-publishing world.
Yeah, we're very grateful to them for that.
Yeah.
And we've got you.
Well, thank you. I'm going to say I will help in any way that I possibly can. I learned from them, and I've also coached them. I coached Mark and one of his business partners in a project. I had the pleasure and the bounty and the blessing of being their coach for a project, which was very fabulous. And that's how I know the story firsthand.
I'd never heard that story. I'm really grateful to you for sharing it with us. And there's a lot of takeaways from that.
Mm.
So you can do things, and mentors matter.
Yeah, mentors matter. And just because you have money and just because you have an audience,
you're going to get
your
published.
idea, it might require knocking on a lot of doors before somebody gets the vision that you have. You might be that far ahead of the marketplace.
Yeah. For sure. Stacey, is there anything else that you really want the audience to take away from this conversation?
Well, yes, because we talked about the 4 stages of alignment. What I want to know is how will you know that you're there, that you're in alignment in all 4 ways? You will know because you have belief in yourself. Like the doubting ourselves goes away. Because Mark and Jack never doubted themselves. They were sure in themselves that they wanted to do this project and they were going to get it done come hell or high water, as they say, right? And out of that belief comes the consistency of action. And not to take anything away from consistency coaches. But for me, consistency does not start with a DMO. It starts with belief in ourselves that what we're doing matters, has value to ourselves to do it, and to others to receive it. So it starts with alignment. The alignment produces belief, and that belief is the fuel to stay consistent. And then how you stay consistent can be a daily method of operation. I hope that makes sense. And as you know, Jill, I'm offering to your audience my How to Create Sales Satisfaction and Success. It's a 2-part workshop that I recorded, and I'm happy to have them download it at no charge as a gift. I also have another webinar that I gave and recorded on time mastery. So again, not starting with the DMO, starting with alignment, leading to DMOs. So I'm happy to offer those to your audience, to anybody who would like it at no charge. They can just contact you and you let me know and I'll get it over to you for them.
Awesome. That would be amazing. And you also did a special training for us around the frequency of money.
Yes.
I recorded, or you recorded, but I uploaded onto a platform so that it's on demand at this point. And if you're interested in raising your frequency around money, it's Stacey's presentation, but I'm happy to share that with you too.
Yeah,
So.
I'm so thrilled that you're getting that out there some more. Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's Einstein. Many people think frequency is woo-woo. Well, so I'm just going to ask, how many people think Einstein was woo-woo? I hardly ever hear anybody say, "Oh, Einstein, he's woo-woo ideas." This man knew all about the vibration of the universe. He's the one who called it frequency. Started from him, maybe prior to him, but he's the one who got all the credit for it. And it's gone ever since him. And every day there are people exploring what is the frequency of the universe and how does it help us in various ways. And every Monday we have a gathering, Jill. Everybody's welcome. No, get with Jill. She'll get you an invitation. This week we're focusing on the frequency of how to get more done in less time. If you tap into that frequency, whatever that is what you will get. More done in less time.
Love that. Love
It's
that.
very cool.
Thanks for joining me, Stacey. This has been amazing.
I've loved every minute. I've always loved chatting with you and all your friends because you got the coolest friends.
I do. And I'm so glad you're one of them.
Well, me too. And thank you for asking me to chat about this today.